The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And the X-Zone store is now open, our all-new store, at www.thexzonestore.com. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Gary Vasey. Now with 12 books in print, Gary Michael Vasey is an established author with notable contributions in poetry, metaphysics, and business. His first novel, The Last Observer, was published last year and is a thrilling cornucopia of mayhem, magic, and murder. A Yorkshire man who has spent most of his adult life exiled to Texas and now the Czech Republic, Gary writes for a living and as a leading analyst in the commodity trading and risk management industry. On the side, he writes poems, blogs, books on metaphysics, and novels, all with the theme of life and nature of reality. Much of his inspiration comes from meditation and music. He's currently working on The Lord of the Elements, the prequel to The Last Observer, and another on the concept of the Fool in Magic. His website, www.garymvasey.com. And Gary, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thanks, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks very much for joining us. It's very early in the Czech Republic. Exiled? Why were you exiled to Texas?
Well, professionally, I had actually going back even earlier in my life, I had an opportunity to do a PhD topic, which sent me to Nova Scotia, pretty close to your part of the world.
Yes,
and it was, back in the early 80s, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked Nova Scotia, and I kept looking for opportunities to get back to North America, and eventually found one professionally when I was sent to Houston, Texas, by the consulting company I was working for. I managed to stay there 18 months before I had to come back, and then I spent another 2 or 3 years looking for another opportunity to get back there, and was successful again when I was asked to go back to Houston. And I said, well, if you're taking me back to Houston, I have to move transatlantic one more time, get me a green card, which they did. The green card turned into a passport after a few years. So I'm actually a dual British-U.S. citizen.
Fascinating. How did you end up in the Czech Republic?
Well, I knew that was going to be a question. It always is. It's inevitable. From Houston to Brno, what a trip. Well, in fact, I met my partner. My partner was from a small village just outside of Brno that's not on any maps. And so, as you do, I moved here to be with her. And I'm currently sort of in my second family. I have 3 adult sons living in Austin and Houston, Texas. And I have a 6, nearly 7-year-old daughter here in the Czech Republic.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? So this is a love story in itself.
Yes, a long-distance love story. And in fact, many of the poems that were published in my first book of poetry were obviously penned about Gabriela and the Czech Republic. Yeah.
Wow. I understand it's very beautiful over in the Czech Republic.
It is. It's an incredibly beautiful country. I think it's such a shame because everybody comes to Prague. Mm-hmm. And Prague, don't make any mistake, Prague is a wonderful, beautiful, historic city. But people come to Prague and they do the Prague thing for the long weekend and then they go somewhere else. They never actually explore the countryside that is the Czech Republic. And, it's such a beautiful country. Every little village has its own story, has its own architecture, has its own church. And, of course, the Czechs are very nice people. The beer's good, the food is good, the weather's pretty good. What more could you ask for?
Well, geez, with great beer, super weather, and I bet you the food's fantastic. That sounds like the place to be. Gary, stand by. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. Exonation Gary M. Vasey is my special guest. www.GaryMVasey.com. That's GaryMVasey.com. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right around the world. If you'd like to visit our new store, get your X Zone gear. It's a great place to show the world that you are a member of the X Zone Nation. Go to www.thexzonestore.com. That's XZONE. I'm sorry, THEXZONESTORE.com. Gary and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break. Whatever you do, don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Welcome back, everyone. Gary M. Vasey is my special guest. www.garymvasey.com is his website. Before we get to talking about your latest book, The Observer, I was wondering if you could tell me what the situation is like over in the Czech Republic with what's going on between Russia, the Ukraine, and the United States.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously a little closer to the action here, and I do see that the Czech president and of course the Polish president seem to want to take a harder line against the Russians than perhaps some of the other European countries that are further away from the action. Other than that, though, I mean, it's still a good 500,000 miles away. So day-to-day life is unaffected.
Well, that's good to hear. Gary, tell me about your latest book, The Last Observer. What's it about?
Well, it actually was born of a conversation with my eldest son in a pub in London. He was doing a semester at King's College. I went over to visit with him, and we were sat there in this quaint old London pub drinking some good bitter, and we started to talk about the nature of reality and some of the sort of theories that are being put forth either as science or pseudoscience around quantum physics, etc. In particular, the idea that for reality to exist, perhaps it requires a conscious observer. And as we sort of drank our beer and had this conversation, I started to say that there were some big parallels between what I was reading around quantum physics, science or pseudoscience versions of that, and magic as I've studied it for the last decade or so with an occult school out of the UK. And he was pretty interested in that, and it just developed really into this idea that, well, you know what? If we observe reality, if we create our own reality, what if some people were really good at that, but the vast majority of us slept through our lives?
Good question.
Distracted by material things, distracted by money, distracted by politics or sex or drugs and rock and roll, whatever the hell it is, but distracted and sleeping. Whereas just a few people, maybe the psychics or magicians, really consciously observed reality. What would happen if a group of black magicians wanted to change reality and started to kill the people that could actually consciously create reality? They would be able to sort of hijack reality and control it. And my son Paul thought this was such a good idea. He said, what a great movie that would make. And I said, well, you know what? I think maybe I'll write a quick novel. And of course, 3 years went by, and I did nothing. And one day he said to me, did you ever write that book, The Last Observer? I said, no, but I'm going to. So I did. I sat and I started, and I'd actually penned the first chapter more or less the same evening that we had that discussion, and just left it sitting as a file on my computer. So about a couple of years ago, when he reminded me, I basically went back to it. And you know what? The book kind of wrote itself in the course of about 3 weeks. It just poured out of me. And the ending and some of the twists and turns along the way surprised even me, because I tend to write, as you said right at the very beginning, I do tend to write in a meditative state. I either listen to music or I write after meditating. And so you lift yourself into a different level of consciousness. And in that kind of state, I sometimes feel as if it's not really me writing, it's somebody else writing. It kind of writes itself.
Tell me about the magic you spoke of. Are you a practitioner of magic? And are we talking about the stage magician, or are we talking about the art of magic?
Yeah, we're talking about real magic.